This conference will now be recorded.
Just need to read this real quick here.
I couldn't remember what I turned on. I didn't.
I'll put it up here closer. Everybody hears me because I don't hear well, so I speak loud and everybody can hear what I say. Okay, let's establish a quorum. Trey will not be here tonight, nor will Mike. So Chris? Here. Loris?
Here.
Rachel?
Here.
Susan. So we do have a quorum since there's 4 of us. And do we have any introductions? No? Are we all set with our login people up here? I do have a couple of announcements that I'll need to make this evening. We have an opening on the commission, and we have 3 people that have sent emails for us to consider. One is from Brandon Carlson, and he said that he would like to be considered to serve on the Planning and Zoning Commission. He is currently the general manager at Redbud Cafe and the vice president of the Chamber of Commerce. I strongly believe I could be a good fit and an asset to the commission. I truly love this community and would appreciate the opportunity to help in any way I can. Thank you, Brandon Carlson. He would be a great asset as he is a business owner, and he would give us a lot of insight to the business community that we have. And I spoke with Brad earlier in the week.
John.
Pardon me?
John, who used to be on our,
Breeder.
Ruger, was on our planning and zoning commission.
Good.
And so he's, I guess, in a sense, to replacing him, right? Did you say he's Redbud manager?
I can just barely understand you.
He's Redbud manager?
He's the general manager of Redbud, yes.
Okay.
Yes. The gentleman, Mr. Ross, just brought his inquiry in that he had worked with RK Seals, or he understands that RK Seals is moving away and he would be interested in filling the vacancy on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm a resident of Silo Springs, just like RK was. You're setting a precedent. We actually were next door neighbors and have relevant experience that I could bring to bear on the work of P&Z. I've been the executive officer of the Hill Country Home Builders Association for over 6 years. Have built homes, CGB. Am a retired banker and currently am a licensed real estate agent here in Texas. He's looking forward to hearing from us. So that's Heinz Roche. The other one, Will just handed me this evening. This gentleman is Neil Nayans, and he's interested in the open RK Seal seat on the Planning and Zoning Commission. I'm a property owner in Blanco County since 1995 and a property owner and resident of the city of Blanco since 2012. I'm a veteran and an honorably retired police officer. I am concerned about uncontrolled and unplanned growth in Blanco. I wish to be a part of the planning and zoning and implementation of growth plans that will benefit all the residents of the city and not just the developers and self-wealth promoting profiteers. In 2016, I spearheaded a successful neighborhood effort to rezone the old stay-built property from becoming a lumber mill. If selected for the open position, I will be open and transparent. I will represent all the residents of Blanco and seek input from any and all Blanco residents before making any decisions. I will be fair and impartial. Now, I read these off so that everybody would know that. We can't vote on them because they're not on our agenda tonight, but we do want you to look at them. And in our next meeting, we'll be making a recommendation to the city council. But since I had these in, I wanted to go ahead and give everybody notice that these folks are interested in serving. Okay, so we can have, the next thing we're going to have is, are there any other announcements? Doesn't have to be just me. You?
Do we have any minutes from the last meeting? Minutes from the last meeting?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
The next thing is citizen presentations. Do we have anyone that wants to speak that is not on the agenda? And as such, there is nothing on the agenda right now. So, okay, you're first up.
I just came tonight to say goodbye to everyone. It's been a joy working with all of you. Some newer, I'm sorry, Trey and Mike are not here. So Mike and, I guess Mike and Laura probably came on about the same time, Trey a little later. It's been interesting. Sometimes it's been fun, sometimes not. I think Will has been a great addition to the city.
I'll smile. I was prepared. Whatever you said, I was prepared.
Now, we've not always agreed, but
We're not supposed to. That's right.
I think you've been a great addition to the city. This commission really is city staff. And given the small city and relatively limited staff, this commission is a very important thing. And I'm glad that the people who are on here now take that seriously. Now, we may not have Rachel much longer. And I don't know how much longer Trey and Mike are going to go, or Lawrence. But it was really encouraging to hear Susan read those 3 applications. I know or know of all 3. And I think there are merits to all 3. So if there's only one vacancy now, that's me, and it's an out of the city vacancy where you can fix them. So you have options. But it also gives you the opportunity to keep people in sort of waiting, because there are going to be some other vacancies soon. So all I wanted to say was I've enjoyed working with you all. It's been 6 years of sometimes fun, sometimes not. The only advice I have to you going forward is don't call me. And ask the questions that need to be asked. And do your homework, because that is new. This commission has been much more influential in the last few years than I think it was before, and in a positive way. And that, do your homework and ask the questions, and you'll be fine. And I love you all. Goodbye.
We'll miss you, RK. We enjoyed having you. Okay, do we have anyone else that,
Used to, I'm Retta Martin, Historic Commission, I've been on everything here for since 1999. And so I used to come in and give history lessons because people, the new ones coming in wouldn't know what was going on or what had happened in the past. So I've been talking to Susan, I'm going to give a history lesson tonight because we have a lot going on.
and you're always welcome.
But I don't know where to start. How far back do y'all go? Do you go back to the Citizens Assembly? You know what that is?
I think you should go back as far as you want.
Okay, Citizens Assembly, I'll go back as far as, and when I retired and I got involved, and there was a group called Citizens Assembly that was a county. And it was a group getting together from both towns, wanting to see what Blanco County wanted to have in 10 years, 40 years, or whatever. And this went on for a good while. And so at that time, a lot of it was trails and things like that for the county. After a while, it broke apart, and Blanco took their part and Johnson City took their part. The Blanco part became an committee, an official ad hoc committee for the city of Blanco that was called the Wheels and Feet. And so a lot of it was the trails here that they were working on. It went on into even get the National Park Service up here for 5 years. And one of the products, they should have gone from 281 to the river, but somehow I've gotten an option to buy that lot down there and our mayor let it go. And we had South Park and Pond Bottom that came out of that. At that time, and now there's a group that has formed, that I think there are 3 directors that have incorporated by the one calling with the Wheels and Feet name. And so that's where it came from. Doug Haney was, he and I opened it with us for years. Okay, then this went on, and in South Park, that's the product. Then it got put in boxes, and we kind of stopped there, and that was 2005. In 2003, we put a comprehensive master plan. Y'all have been brought up on that, right? Arcade was one of the first ones. I wish he hadn't left because when we started this, even before it was finished, when we got into historic preservation, Arcade and T.D. Smiley, one of our main top things, first things was windshield survey of the area. And he and T.D. were out there in the windshield surveys. They moved this forward as fast as they could. And so the comprehensive master plan was voted in 2003, started in January 2004, and it was approved February 2005. Through the years, historic commissions, our city council to update it every 5 years. They never would do it. And I know there's problems with it now. And this is what happens. So I think 2007, there was a group that maybe 3 or 4 people worked on it.
On the comprehensive master plan?
2007, on CMP.
I think there was like 7 on the committee.
And in 2007, then what, 3 in 2019? I know.
3 on 2019, and like, there was like maybe 6 in 2016.
Okay, so it's just been, when this came in, there was 100 at our first meeting, and over the year and a half, 2 years that we worked on it, there was hundreds. So trying to update it without having that citizen support and input is just not good. We need to have a real update one of these days and have our citizens come back in and get a professional and do all the signs and everything and have it, really updated.
So are you talking, I'm not supposed to ask you questions, so never mind. Go ahead. Sorry.
Is there anything?
I'm not supposed to say anything. Go ahead.
But anyway, get to the next one. Then while we were doing the CMP, they said, call the visionary, the Texas Historic Commission, the visionary, see if the city will apply for the visionary and preservation program that they had. There was only 3 times a year that could get that. And so in 2004, not only were we working on the comprehensive master plan, we were working on the applications for the VIP. Candy Cargill did the first one. We couldn't get it because we did not have a strong enough historic cover. The next year I did the application. They weren't very easy applications either. I had surgery, I'm sitting with neck braces on and everything. So the next year I did it. And it was not approved. That was 2004 and 5, and it was approved for 2007.
What was approved?
The visionary preservation program.
Okay.
That is a preservation action plan. That went on for a long time, several years that we were doing that. So that is, if you haven't seen it, that is the action plan. Right here. It's online. And that's where so many of the things came from that we work on, not just the historic commission, because we stay busy on it.
What's the name of it again, please? What's the name?
Lifeguard Historic Preservation Action Plan.
Okay.
When it was once approved in 2007, we started in February meeting and used it for.
So that's not the only thing that's in there, right?
It's on the line.
That isn't the only thing that's in that book, though.
I mean,
That's not just historic commission, right?
no, it has other things in it too, but it's how to preserve. It has 3 different levels on how to preserve. One of them is to, preserve our open spaces. There were 3, by highest goals. The highest goal was manage growth, protect rural character and natural resources. Second was promote adherence to design guidelines standards. Third one was preserve and revitalize the square, and that's not what I could say. And that's where streetscape come from, this is.
Okay, so that's the historic part, not the comprehensive master plan
No,
itself.
That's not the comprehensive.
Okay.
This is the comprehensive master plan. Right here.
I just want to make sure we all knew what we were talking about because it's a little confusing.
Yeah,
That's the historic.
So much of this came out of.
Okay.
The night skies, friendly skies came out of the historic preservation action plan. We're trying to get gateways coming into the city of Blanco at each entrance. That comes out of it. Streetscape comes out of it. Many things come out of it. And again, it's online for you. Okay, that was, it was turned out in 4 and 5, and we got it in 2007. We had 7 monthly meetings. There were task leaders. Jack Quilly was over the top one, Debbie Hillmeyer was over the second one, and I was over the third one. Okay. Then in 2006, we started a new historic preservation commission because we also were doing our P&Z, Formative, which were up in EDC. We were doing our update on our artists through the same thing. And so once the UDC was approved in 2006, we started our new historic preservation commission. Streetscape and others began in 2007, 2009. The streetscape part, which is, I understand there is a possibly presentation tonight on that. The streetscapes part began, it's a Blanco Historic Preservation project. All these out of that book is under the Historic Preservation Commission. So I had the streetscape, and it wasn't even for White should. So our CRG coordinators, we became a CRG city too. Said have a resolution, have the city do a resolution for this. So they get a resolution for us to form a committee and a streetscape committee to develop a master streetscape plan for the historic district. We did that, and we had 12 committee members. And the committee was formed within this set criteria for a planner. At that time, we had 2 planners involved at that time. Val Dunas on where the Emporium is now, or where it was. And he was an architect. He wanted to. I had Scott Pollock here twice, and Bobby Mack wanted to hire him on the spot as a planner, but we couldn't do that.
Okay.
So Scott Pollock wanted to also do the plan. But when we finally got our 12 committee members going, a group, and they decided we really need to come up with the criteria of what we're wanting in a planner. So they went to work and they formed a little subcommittee and they set the criteria. And we got several different proposals. But one proposal was from Nori Winters in Colorado. And he's the one that got it. So we have, Nori Winters was our planner, and that was for the streetscape in the master plan in the historic district. But they look at the big picture too. They look at the whole city. When he came down, he took all around.
And what did that cost? What was the cost?
His bill is going to be $49,000. So we started our fundraiser. And
49,000, is that what you said? 49,000,
we
okay.
had the PowerPoints and we had meetings at the courthouse and we showed it everywhere and raised money. But we couldn't raise it. So there was a young man, he was not young man, he had children. Jim Rady, who was here. Am I going to long?
Well, we can't take the whole meeting, I'm sorry, but
Jim
we,
Rady was here and he was a contractor that designed parking lots. And he said he could get his architecture degree because of his experience. He said, I will do it pro bono. So we spent years doing pro bono plan. That is our that is our conceptual plan, is what Jim Rady did. And it's been approved by the city. We raised 16,000 is what we could raise. And he did that. So anyway, the conceptual plan was approved by the city. Then Jack voted to get a project manager, so we went dormant for a while he was working trying to find funds, and he didn't find funds. And in 2015, when Bruce Hill was here, we became inactive. And then recently we reactivated. He said when he left, he said you need to reactivate this. And so recently, just a few months ago, I put it on the city council. We reactivated the 27th night. Yeah, unless we could make a motion to inactivate it. It wasn't inactivated, so it was never inactivated. And he said that night. No term used.
Right.
So we are active and we're moving forward with getting our, for the historic square, the district. The plan, the conceptual plan, if we're to the point of having an architect, and we changed our committee to 5. Now we were talking, and Susan was really and excited about this. We wanted, Rudy Nino, our HPI, came up with something that came out from historic about the streetscape training program. So we got really excited about this. We thought we could do it. I had asked the Historic Commission to put a workshop on to look at all these things that we had hanging, that we had, some we had finished, most we had not, some were partially finished. So we planned a workshop for the 17th of this month to look at all the things that have been here and all the things finished or unfinished and set some goals. We thought we would do our streetscape training at that time. And but it's worked out, we were gonna start at 10 over at the bank and then.
but you couldn't do it, didn't work out.
Yeah, it has not worked out. And it may not even be needed because I understand this, if your person is coming tonight, I think it's a great thing he's coming because I was from San Marcos and I didn't know about this till last night. If I had known, I would have called and been in touch with him. But I always said, go to San Marcos and see what they've done up there. And I think back in 2000, when we were calling people, I had talked to them and we couldn't afford them. So I'm excited to meet him, but we also are the ones that in the past that want to resubmit. And when I met with Chris and Laurie both with Wilson Feed, as I told them, we know what we have is there, it's 10 years old. And we're going to finish ours. If they come in and join, it might open the door for the urban plan. And hopefully that's what will happen. And we'll have those coming back in that we have had and possibly this person from San Marcos. So we won't be having that, but we will be having our workshop. As far as I know, and I'll let y'all know, if you want to come, it's at the HPC and it's
Okay.
over all this stuff.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you very
That's
much.
my history lesson for tonight.
Thank you, Rita.
And I won't have, hopefully we won't have another bad year where I can't come back and give another one.
All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Lynette.
Any other presentations? We were going to have our new business tonight. We need to approve the minutes before we go any further. You have them and you have them. We don't have a crowd tonight, do we?
We don't have much to talk about, do we?
You would think they would at least check in.
Is there doing the workshop? I don't know if you're doing that training.
I just like to compliment Rachel on this.
Can you take your mask off so we can just pull it down?
I'd like to compliment Rachel on the length of minutes she provides.
Great.
Thank you. I had help from Susan this time. So I just want to put that
We
up.
kind of work together sometimes.
Yeah.
If I feel like that there's something missed in the minutes that are important for ongoing consideration, then I email them to her and she has the option to either put them in or leave them out. So she still can edit that.
I'll make a motion for the minutes. It's me.
A second.
We have any conversation, discussion? Everyone in favor?
Fine.
All right. Okay, so the new business tonight was going to be that consider and take action on the HVZ zoning variance request, but we did not get the public notice out. So that has been moved to our next meeting in May. Hold your hand up. Yes, sir.
HBC
Yes.
is.
Hickenbacken Brothers Lumber Company. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Mhm. So we won't have that. So we're going to move to the workshop tonight. And I always like to have a workshop if we don't have anything else, because there's always something that the commission needs to discuss. And so this might be the night that we can do this without having to do it at 9 o'clock at night. So
You close the record.
close the regular meeting. Close the regular meeting at 6:56.
That's the shortest meeting I've ever had.
I can just pound on this all night, right?
7 records.
Okay, so the workshop tonight, one of the things that we're going to have before us is that Rachel Lumpy sent me a notice that she would like to discuss. She would like to, before we take any further steps on the zoning map, she wanted to hear from some outside perspectives perhaps. So she's going to give us some information tonight, and Rachel, I'll turn it over to you. And You hand something to,
That's the, oh,
while she's doing that, I want to also, because she's going to talk about the simple design that Matt Lewis, Commissioner Matt Lewis, and Martha Gosnell and I attended in 2019. This is the same company. This is our notes from when we attended this same program, training program that they have. You have them for different. Okay, now you're up.
I just wanted to bring this up because, like Susan said, we had city council members and P&Z members go to this meeting in 2019, and then it was brought before council in November 2019, and then nothing happened. So I wanted to make sure that we don't just leave it in the dust and not talk about it ever again, because I think it's important that we, like you said, I said, we need to make sure that we cover everything before we go public with this planning and zoning map. And I've talked to Matt Lewis, the simple city design, and he is very passionate about small towns and helping small towns. He actually has done work in Hutto and a couple of different, like, various cities, but he likes the small towns the best, and that is the only thing he focuses on, small towns in the hill country. This proposal that I just handed out is something that he sent me to kind of describe, like, what their steps are. And so the first step basically is they're going to come in and discuss about the different city buildings and the critical components necessary to maintaining Blanco's authenticity. And I think that's like something that I just keep hearing over and over again, keep Blanco, Blanco. And I think that it's important to keep Blanco, Blanco, because that's why people move here. He talked about how Retta was talking about their VIP, and that's one of their first steps is to make a vision plan. So we wouldn't necessarily have to do that because we could bring everything that we already have and have them look at it. And I just, like I said, I don't have too much because I just wanted to bring it up so it won't leave and disappear for 2 more years. I think that we should really consider going forward with trying to find a planner who can help us.
Okay. So when I hear Rachel saying, now this is for me, and this is for us to consider, folks. I wish the other commissioners were here, but they aren't. I hear her talking about 2 different things. I hear you talking about the zoning map. And I just want everyone to understand, we've been working on the zoning map since May of 2019. And we've completed our initial vision of what the zoning should look like. The next step in our mind was to hold 1 or more town hall meetings, however many it takes, to present it to the citizens of Blanco and let them have a say about what we've talked about for what we've worked on for a year. Now, I think that it's important that we all understand what's going on.
The whistle.
Yeah.
The whistle in the background, my hearing is right.
Yeah, I don't see.
Um, I think it's important that we understand that we have immediate zoning concerns now, today, that need to be addressed. And I don't believe the city can afford to delay a zoning map presentation to the citizens for another year of delayed workshops or perspective strategies. I just don't believe we can do that. We've been working on this zoning map has been in process for 5 years, maybe, I don't know. But I know that I've been working on it since May of 2019, so that's a year and a half. And I think that we've done a lot of work as a commission, and we've walked the streets of Blanco, and we've looked at what it is now, and we've thought about what it should be. And if you read the notes that I passed out to you, as far as the notes that Martha and I had taken, Commissioner Matt Lewis didn't turn any in, but Martha and I did. And so what we have done is we have the zoning map aligns with those notes that we were presented with at that strategy workshop. So that's one issue that you brought up, is the zoning map. And I don't think that we should delay presenting the zoning map for a undisclosed time period that we're going to work on streetscapes and landscape and urban development. I just don't believe that that's a good way to go right now. The second thing you talked about was streetscape design. Now, as Rita said, that design is under the Historic Preservation Commission, and it's in their action plan. And the plan was approved in 2007, which is about when the UDC and the zoning map came to be. And it was formed by resolution from the city council. So it wasn't a fly-by-night presentation or somebody just picking up and saying, I'll do this. We got to keep in mind that the downtown area is the historic district, our whole downtown. It isn't like some cities where they have a historic district off on the side or down the road. Ours is right down here in our town center. We have to use the notes from the city council, from the training work style that we went to already, the same thing. Many of the strategies are included in the current zoning map and the update. I believe there's going to be a PowerPoint presentation at the city council meeting, if I'm not mistaken, next week, my understanding. And Mr. Jack Twilley is going to, who has been working with the Historic Commission on streetscape designs and strategies for historic districts, will be presenting this PowerPoint. And with all that said, the city council must be included and heavily committed to get any traction on development in this city. Since this will be before the city council next week, and they're going to decide how to proceed on the strategies and future development, I think we need to listen to them, hear what they have to say. They're the ones that's going to have to push this. They're the ones that are going to have to come with the money for this. And as Retta just said, it was $49,000 years ago. I don't know what it's going to cost, and I don't know how that's going to go about. I don't know what comes into that. And I want to go to all the meetings and find that out, but I don't think we ought to stop presentation of the zoning map to do that. So that's where I stand.
And I agree with you. I think that you're right. We should, we can present it to the public, but I also think that having the public's input and possibly having a different outside perspective too, before we finalize it. And because I reviewed your notes, and some of the things that were in the notes, I'm not really seeing transferred over the last couple of years. Like it says, to have like an annual training workshop, and I haven't seen that, and I've been covering both commissions for 4 years now. So that's why I'm bringing it up now, so we can talk about it and get it back in people's minds and fresh.
I think it's a great idea, and I think we need to have it. I just don't think we need to stop doing the zoning map because of that. That's the only reason. That's the only thing. I look back on our notes, and we have had, out of the last 14 months, we have had a zoning issue come before us in all those months. That means what we're saying is we have had people come before us with a zoning issue in 14 of the last 18 months. And we've had to decide on that. We need to get the zoning map completed so that people will understand when they come to Blanco what they can expect. That's my position.
I mean, it's not, but also celebration,
This is a workshop, so I guess we can allow anybody to speak. Yes. Come up to the microphone now.
Thank you. And thank you all for all this amazing work you've been doing. And I do not disagree at all that it should continue to go. You've got momentum, Bill. But to go along, I don't think that those.
And your name?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No one will know you.
I'm sorry. And
I know you, but no one else knows.
I'm not sure those two things are mutually exclusive, to continue to move ahead and bring it from the public. But like Rachel said, to have somebody look at it at the same time, just to see if there's some tweaking that might be good from somebody who does this for a living and can do it. And only primarily for two things, two areas. One statement that was new to me that I hadn't thought of, and you may have, and I just may not know that, but was the term that small towns all over the country are zoning themselves out of existence because their ordinances are not compatible with the small town rural character and feel, because too often the ordinances had been adopted and modified from city ordinances. So the setbacks were too great, so that it's often good to make sure the ordinances are where they need to be, so that then when you zone for it, it makes sense. And that may already be done, but that would be something that an expert could look at and go, wow, y'all did it right on exactly the way. Or your R2s and R3s look great, but man, the setbacks and stuff on your ordinances and specs for R4 or whatever, it's gonna, when you build that out, it's not gonna be what you want it to be. Again, it's just that somebody else could be looking at it at the same time. And the other thing is just the issue of density, because they also look at the density that'll be created in the residential areas. And if they're zoned for what the potential population growth would be, that Blanco will then have to support with infrastructure. Water, roads, sewer, wastewater, stormwater. So how much density as the city builds out under the new zoning, does that make sense? Will we be able to keep that up and support it with our growth and our projected growth and financial, what we have financially to do that? Again, I can look at it, it would mean nothing to me. I'm sure you looked at many of those aspects, if not all of them, but just having at the same time somebody who could look at it and go, wow, you guys go forth and zone away because it's perfect. Or you've done everything right, but if you would just tweak these three things here, here's where that will make a difference for you. And I'm setting up the meetings for the public to begin to get them informed. And I don't think that this consultant has like a long waiting list, because they can do a quick look because they're so used to that I think you might well be able to get the response back before you even have the.
Let me just say to you that this, presenting the streetscapes to us is like putting the cart before the horse.
I'm not talking about streetscape, I'm just talking about zoning.
Yeah, but you mentioned what she's talking about in the urban planning part. And when we're talking about urban planning, we're talking about zoning, and we're talking about streetscape. So, I mean, you can call it what you want to call it, but that's the way it all comes together. But for that to happen, it has to go before the council. It's not something we can do. If they're not willing to spend the money and they're not willing to set the committees up, then it's not going to happen. It's not a planning and zoning purview. That's a city council purview.
Sure. I'm just thinking that if planning and zoning at least had the ask or said, we've got this, we've done the work, we're ready to roll with it, we'd like you to get somebody to take one final look as we pass through this to make sure we're getting it right, because we've worked too long and too hard, and we want to make sure that we're moving it ahead.
Well, I don't think you should sell the council short. I don't think they're dummies, and I don't think they're going to sit there and they don't take everything that we send them. They also have the responsibility to look into whatever's before them. So what we do is a precursor to what the city council does. We are only a referral commission.
Yeah, I was 4
And
years on planning.
well,
so-
that's
so
good.
I-
So
I
you understand
I do.
that when Rachel is talking about what she's talking about, she's bringing it up. It can be on our mind. But as I said, the city council, I understand, is going to have a PowerPoint next week. So if people don't show up to that and the city council doesn't move on it, there's nothing that we can do. That's where we stand.
Thank you. Thanks for all you've done. I'll do that.
All right. Go ahead.
These are just three, hang on, like, oh, there we go. These are just three observations, and that's all these are. Number one, I have been concerned about the fact that we don't have a pattern of ordinances that when we create ordinances, when we use them, how they comport with city council minutes. And I'd like to see us use ordinances to highlight specific issues that we may have to go back and address at a later date. It's a lot faster to go through a list of ordinances than it is to sit and read through every city minutes. So I'm thinking having ordinances, and Susan and I, we've chatted about this too. We need to look at the ordinances and make sure they're.
And I have opinion, of course.
Me too.
And, all right, that was my opinion. The second one is the number one thing most people that I spoke with seemed to like about Blanco was the charm. I haven't heard anybody volunteering to create charm. Charm costs money. You have to give stuff up, you have to spend money on stuff, and you have to work together to create and keep charm. So I think we need to incorporate that into our zoning on a more active role. And there again, folks may not agree, but I think we need to address that. We need to address landscaping ordinances. I'm looking at fences. I'm looking at possibly boardwalks on walking on places where sidewalks probably wouldn't last every flood. These are ideas. Of course, they're expensive, but having to redo something every year or having it be an unsafe circumstance for the residents is another issue. For example, Blanco Avenue has a lot of seniors along that road and a lot of children. We have to walk on the side of the road, and it does flood on both sides. So what's an answer? So that's one of the issues we're looking at. Blanco Wheels and Feet is one of the groups that's addressing it, among others, and we're working with Greta and trying to come up with ideas and with the state and the county. And thirdly, I think we do need to coordinate what's happening in the city with what's happening in the county around us, because as the county changes, the pressures on the city will be magnified or they'll diminish depending on what's happening. And I think we need to pay attention to what's happening around us as well as what's happening within our boundaries. And those are my comments.
Dolores, you're up.
You know, we need to get this map done because we got issues coming before us right now. You know, with all the variances that we turned down last meeting. And y'all brought out the fact that they need zoning, which is a very simple thing. But we don't have the zoning map up to date that will show us what type of zoning they need in that location. So I agree with you, we got to get that map done and get it out and approved. I have a big problem between, you know, we focus on zoning quite a bit, which we should, because I think that's the ultimate thing. But you know, we're the planning and zoning commission. And I don't hear that much about planning. We talked about the, and I appreciated, you know, the presentation by Martha last meeting. Because that was the first time I really kind of seen what the EDC, the master plan. And so I think we need to maybe focus that more too. Is look at what the planning map is, or the planning the whole master plan itself. And maybe have more say on that. And I have done the work that I need to do to go and review and all that. But I agree with you. I think we need to get this zoning map approved.
And what Loris is saying is so true. The planning has to come to complete the zoning map. We have to have the planning also. But we have to begin somewhere, and we can't wait 2 years. And that's what it's going to take to get another group in here and get it all set up and get a workshop and do all these things. And we can't do one little piece over here, one little piece over here. We need to really go with what Sword Commission has already done and set up with them and give them energy and give them new people that will help get that done. Because again, we can't wait, we cannot, folks, stop the zoning map from being shown to the citizens and let them have an intake to us, waiting on a workshop and a training seminar. We can't do that. We don't have the time. We've waited too long to adjust our zoning map. The zoning map that we're looking at to try to get out there is to benefit the citizens of Blanco, not to hurt them. It expands where they can live. It expands what they can do in their homes. This is not a quietus on zones. This is trying to get it out there where people can function in the city of Blanco. And we do need planning, and I'm all for planning, and I'll be on be there every time you make a planning. But we can't stop presenting and getting input on the zoning map. If we can get all the input from the citizens on the zoning map, and we can come back as a commission and we can digest all of that and try to make any kind of adjustments that we can, hopefully, and that's going to be a 4 to 6 month issue. That's not going to happen overnight. It's too big a deal. It has too much to do with what the city's going to do going forward. But at the end of that period, if you don't have your workshop and you don't have your planning and you don't have it out there yet, we cannot just stop the zoning map and wait for that to happen.
And I agree, we can't stop it. And I phrased it wrong earlier. And I do agree that we need to move ahead with the planning map. But this is part of the planning part of the future. And not just the map, which of course we should, get out to the public and get input and maybe have somebody look at it. And I did not get the impression that this particular company would take 2 years. They'd be very fast. And I think it is important that we do bring all the different committees and organizations together to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. Because they've done so much work. I've read a lot of it. I haven't, begun to scratch the surface though. And it's just really, I think right now for the planning, we need to all come together and start working on plans for the future.
And that's something that would be a great idea for you to take to the city council next week and present them with that.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, I'm Dina Devine. I was just gonna say, I'm wondering if I don't understand why these things can't happen concurrently. I mean, I think that getting the zoning map out to the public so that we can get the input about it and, the feedback from all the work that you've already done on it. I think it's like you said, we can't really delay that. We have to get moving on that. But I'm not sure I understand why that is mutually exclusive to having someone who's got a professional background in urban planning look it over.
I think that's perfectly fine. If the commission wants to pay for it and you can push that through, then that's a perfect thing for you to do. I'm just saying that we shouldn't hold up the zoning map. We shouldn't hold up the presentation to the citizens, and we shouldn't say, well, you can't approve it until we get this done. I don't think that's a good idea.
And let me just ask you a point of, policy here. So does there just need to be one meeting on the zoning map?
Oh, no.
Public hearing?
No,
Public hearing.
it's not and we were going to talk about that next in the workshop, but I'll just throw it out there and the commissioners, the ones that we have here can speak to that. My idea is that we will have one or more town halls. I
Yes,
don't
town
want
halls.
just a public meeting. I want to set up with our IT person and put a screen on one side that shows the whole map as we've worked on it. Put a screen on the other side that shows just the residential areas. And you've never seen the R1, R2, R3, R4, R5. It's never been shown. It's behind a big cloud somewhere. We want to show it. We want to show you what we've done with it and
Yeah.
where we said residences are, the density, the non-density, the ones that we want left alone. Those are the things that the citizens need to see, along with, I would like to have the comprehensive master plan laid out there so that they can go through and look at it while they're looking at the map. I am not for doing it behind closed doors. I want all the transparency that we can get, but I don't want to hold it up waiting for someone else to come in and say, your work is, you just hold up until we get this planning going. That's not what I want, Dita.
Right, no, I understand. I'm just, I'm clear about the time.
They can, if you can make that happen, then that's great.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet. And there's going to be some money involved and you guys are going to have to turn loose of it in city council to get it done.
Right, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you all for your work.
Thank you, Dita.
You know, RK made a huge statement when he was saying goodbye. We basically are staff. We do a lot of the stuff that, like in San Antonio, you have staff that will do all this work, bring it to the commissions and all that. We don't have it. We can't afford, we don't have the luxury of having somebody bring something. We're having to do this ourselves. I mean, you know, you and RK and I think we're out there walking the streets and looking at the various land use.
People don't understand the thought and all of the conversation, the thought, the discussions, walking the streets. We walked every street in Blanco, 2 blocks on the north, that side of 281 and 2 blocks on this side. And we had a map and we wrote down every building that was there and said what it was and how it was being used. That's how we started this map. And that wasn't an easy thing to do. But ongoing with that, we went through and tried to make sure that it adhered to what the master plan and the United Code says. So we didn't do this helter-skelter, and you've been here since May, so you have to know that.
I understand.
So the thing about it is, I'm all for you folks doing a planning seminar and getting whoever in here to look at it, and more than happy for them to look at what work we've done. But I don't want to sit back and cross my arms and legs and wait for it to happen. Yeah. Somebody
I
else?
think Greta was going to say something.
Greta? Who?
I missed it so much, well, I missed all of last year, I think. And so it's hard for me to understand exactly because I missed all this zoning map and all these things that are going on. But what we are doing, the historic district is identified as a historic district. So you're talking about other things in the zoning.
We
map.
we didn't just look at the historic part of the city. We looked at the city all the way down as far as we can go.
Yeah, but what we're going to be working on is that, because we have a comprehensive, we have the conceptual plan already approved, and so we'll be working with the architect to finish it. So the rest of it, it's hard for me to figure out how we are going.
Well, I don't think Rachel wants to confine it to just the historical part. She wants the planning to keep going. You know what? You have to have a starting place. It's just like when we started doing the zoning map. We had to have a starting place, and the starting place was walking the streets. So the starting place with this may be with the historic district. But from what I understand what Rachel said, she wants to do the whole urban planning. But that's not going to happen in 2 months, I guarantee it.
Well, That's why when I met with Laurie,
Mhm.
I said, don't go out and start, out here. Let's start with what we already have and work out and try to open it up to an urban plan, where they come in and do that.
I think Rachel wants to drive that point, don't you?
But we already have, remember, we already have the historic district plan.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I don't know how it's all going to be, because I missed too much last year.
But Brad, you have to realize we're getting people on the periphery of our town that are coming in here wanting to do certain things. And we got to be real careful about what they're wanting to do. And right now, this whole problem that we have with the MX, the the mixed use stuff, and,
We settled that with the R5.
and the R5, yeah, well. I mean,
That's in the UDC code now, and MX is gone.
But we still have to find out.
But we haven't placed it on the map, and that's what we're trying to do now. Everybody's accepted it, but we haven't placed it on the map.
That's the point, I guess I'm making here, is that we've got to get this stuff straightened out.
Yeah.
So they come in and make a proposal, going on with the variances, what do we have? Come in with a zone change. Okay, when they come in with a zone change, what are they going to zone? What zone are they going to do?
And that's why I said they intermingle and they interact with each other. But the zoning map itself and the planning thing is really two issues that we have to address. We can address them simultaneously. We can work on them at the same time, but we can't say we're going to, the zoning map is as what you're looking at is a redefinition of what has been there that was produced from the UDC code. So, and the comprehensive master plan. So I probably said enough because y'all understand where I'm at. I want to do both, but I don't want either one of them. I don't want the master plan slowed down, nor do I want it stifled because of a planning committee. That's what I'm after.
We need to move forward. We worked on this for 12 years or 10 years. So it's time to do it. Okay, say that.
Anybody else?
Which is why I brought it, part of it up today, so we could discuss it.
And we have. Aren't you glad you don't have to make notes on a workshop?
Oh, yeah.
At least not indefinite. Okay, does anybody else want to speak to this? Keith, you want to speak? You're here. We got another city council member here.
No, it sure be nice to have that map. Fine, that's for sure.
It's been a real pain, hasn't it? Yes.
I think I feel right now, you're managed by either approving or denying variance requests.
I'm sorry.
Which I feel the planning and zoning commission is working more by either, looking at variance requests from either buyers or sellers who come here and do the blanco. And I think that's always a reactive strategy. And what you're proposing would put the planning and zoning commission in a strategic going forward position where you would have a new vision for blanco. That I'm all for that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you see what we're trying to do. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Okay, so that's where we are tonight, and I wanted to discuss what I want to discuss now that we've talked to Rachel. Rachel, thank you for bringing that forward because it is something that needs to be discussed. I just want to make sure that we don't bog everybody down by slowing it down rather than keeping it moving.
Oh,
And so
definitely.
hope you do that. The other thing I want to discuss tonight, we don't have everybody here, but we will do a little bit of that. I will be talking with the administrative office and the council, and I want to see how quickly we can get the meeting set up where we can have a town hall that will be hopefully, everybody will know that it's going on. And I don't know if we do that by having a town crier and we go around the street with the microphone and we tell everybody it's going on. I don't know how we do that, but I want to sit with city council and the administrative office, and we have to get this done. We have to make sure the citizens are aware of what it is and how defining it will be. We will have cameras, we will have TV things set up. We have Trey's a great guy with the IT. I want to have the master plan out there so people can look at it. They can touch it and feel it and turn it and look at it. They can see these, this zoning areas on TV screens. They can point to it. They can leave sticky notes. They can write us emails. I just hope they don't storm the house where we live, but beyond that, we want to hear from them. That's what we have to do. And so if it's okay with y'all, I will be working on that project to get that started. What do y'all think as commissioners?
That's it.
Yeah, let's get it started.
Okay, I will be doing that. So,
Before you come to City Hall, this year, I know you will, I just want to say it for posterity's sake. The rest of the commissioners, y'all come up with some idea, dates, time, places, dates that you have in mind, let's narrow it down to the day in April, let's pick a day in April.
have I ever been indecisive when I came to you?
I didn't want to talk anyway. But no, I wanted to make sure that we, you can come in 2 or 3 dates and we go ahead and kind of, I don't know if you're thinking, how quick you're thinking about it in April or May or June, but I think Lori's got the June calendar already started, so that'd be a good part place. We can cover 3 months, 3 to 4 months, so.
I promise you I'll have dates and items lined up.
For everybody who doesn't know, I want to make sure everybody knew that you're actually consulting with the rest of the committee. I'll be out that day.
Yeah, but I have your phone number.
I know. I'm aware.
I have one.
Okay.
My comment, I'm sorry, Willie, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And you have my phone number too.
I'm afraid I do. My question to you is, do you think it's a good idea to try to set a target date of having the majority of our action done by June? Because in July and August is when we have to start working on the annual review of the UDC. So any changes we come up with that need to be reflected in the UDC, we could put in during the summer review. Every year the UDC has to be reviewed and updated and changed and whatever. So, but it's supposed to be done during the summer and turned over to Laurie by the end of August so that she can do her work and the city can pass it, or not pass what our suggestions by the end of the year. So I'm thinking if we could get the zoning map and any of the other issues addressed prior to that time, then we can incorporate anything that comes up into the UDC.
Well, I can tell you right now that I fully expect and am hopeful for a big turnout that will come to the town hall. That's what I want to cross my fingers for. We need transparency. We need the citizens to know what we're doing, what it looks like, and get information from them. Because I will greatly look for information from whoever comes in from the outside and looks at our work. I want to know what the citizens here do when they look at our work. That's the major importance to me. I've always said here, and you know that transparency is big on my list, and we've been reprimanded for not maybe working hard enough to get that done. I will do everything I can to get that done. I would like to have the first meeting in May, early May, but I can't decide that until we talk to the rest of the commissioners, but I can at least look at that time frame.
I agree with you, Christine, that setting a target date, and when you set your first meeting, we start doing notice on it, we start running the paper and Facebook and the website, and we can put it on the back of the utility bills.
That's going to be, back of the utility bill is going to be a big issue because we need everyone to have it in addition to the other things.
So we got it coordinated going out in a timely manner that is
Right.
with the water bills
Right.
as well. And we could talk about all that, but I think when you start announcing it, you need to have your target dates, say June 3rd,
Got it.
established, and we'll have multiple meetings, but if ever, I want people to know, this is your chance, don't miss it. Don't get your input down. And I won't be there.
Keep saying that.
He'll be there. Don't you try to hold him back. Okay, so is anybody else?
For the public, the citizen input part, I think that it's gonna be important that we have the dates on different days of the week, not just like a Monday every single time or a Tuesday, just have it throughout the week. So like the citizens and a different time. Because a lot of times, people are working and they can't get home and then they miss it. And then it's just like tough luck. So I think it's going to be important that we kind of, stagger it all when we plan the meetings.
Well, hopefully we'll have more than one, and they won't be here. I'm hoping that we can have them either at Jim in the Hills or in the courthouse, one or the other, so that we can have ample room for everyone to come in. When they did this before, they did it in the courthouse upstairs. So that might be the opportune place. I don't know yet until I talk about it, but we won't have just one. I would like to have it in the evening so that everyone is allowed to come, and maybe we'll have one on a weekday, maybe on a Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon. So we won't have just one, Rachel. You know from being in these meetings that I'm the one that's saying, but we have to let people know. We have to get more aggressive about letting the citizens know. I'm the one that keeps saying that, and I will continue to say that because it's the downfall of the city not to listen to the citizens. I'll let you know something when I talk to everybody else and we'll get some time. So anybody else? All right, folks, it's 7:39. Meeting is closed.
New record.
I know.
Keep setting records.